All right, let's go ahead and call the meeting to order. Can we get a certification? Oh, thank you. Can we get a certification of the opening meeting laws? I imagine those have been, or the requirements have been met?
Correct.
Yes, and then we need a roll call of the committee members.
Lyon present.
Anderson, present.
Whalen here.
And
Present.
Got it, and Jean? And Severson. All right. And then we need an adoption of the agenda.
I move to approve.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, none in disfavor, so we'll move on to the next. Approval of the 10/14/2025 regular meeting minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any discussion? No, okay, approved. And then the public comment call-in is 715-538-1894. 715-538-1894. And while we're waiting for that, we'll move right into Jean Gillespie. Golazinski, I think I said that wrong, Jeannie. sorry.
Everybody. No, that's okay. Good morning, everybody. We are continuing to do the work on our 2026 visitor guide. Our cover shoot we'll be doing this week or next week. I believe it, and it might even be done when the weather was nice. We're continuing to use our GEM grant, which will be continuing to work through May of 2026, and discussion on the 250th America celebration. We have our annual quarterly meeting for the commission this Friday, and that's it.
All right, wonderful. Lexi, can we get into the communications report?
Yes. Our social media is still increasing. Our YouTube was up 16 subscribers. Our tours on Facebook was up 71. The government was up 56. And then our Instagram was up 22. So we've been increasing overall there, and then also focusing more on video. And then I met with the folks at Discover Wisconsin, for the GEM grant feedback. And they let me know that they would just like to see a more specific campaign when we reapply in April. They said that it was just very competitive this round. And then they felt like it was very focused on a website, so they'd like to see a campaign built out more going
Gotcha.
forward. So they did both say that they would, I met with Drew and Heidi, and they would both review it with me and work with me more on this next one.
Yes.
So overall, good feedback.
Drew is a great person to work with on that.
Yeah. And then one last thing, I met with Explore Lacrosse last week and was picking their brain on their visitor's guide, different things that they're doing, a winter campaign. Along with that, they showed me just like, I should have brought it with me, a sheet of essentially a front and back with like the town highlights, instead of printing off more visitor guides, if we're going to be taking them to like a trade show, or if we're going to ask them to pass them out at the state fair, so that if people do just throw them away after they read it, it's a piece of paper instead of a visitor's guide. So that might be something that I'll be looking into to see if we can do that as well.
Putting a QR code on that'll help too, huh?
Yeah.
Great. That sounds
I have a
good.
question if I could, Madam Chair. I know it's a really busy time for you, Becky, and I don't know if you've had a chance to talk to Lexi about next year's celebration, the 250th. The city of Whitehall is Linda Mossman.
Yeah.
She's a go-getter. Wants to, she's helping out.
Yep.
Trying to organize that. So I'm just wondering, we're going to meet again in January. I'm wondering if you need any help from me or.
So I did talk with Linda, and then Linda, I connected with Lexi. They had asked as that group to, for our help as collaborators, is to help with some logo development
Yes.
and tagline. And so Lexi and her group have done that.
Oh, good, cool.
And they did send that back already, right, to that, and what, oh, I think it's already done, it's just they were looking for specifics on the colors and things, right?
Yes, and then I got some feedback that there might want to be a second option for like if they do the chambers logos. Some of them are, or most of them are circular, so then if we do like a round one, that would be around it, just to add on to theirs as an addition.
Thank you, you're way ahead of me.
Yeah, we're on top of that
You
one.
are,
so,
thank
yeah,
you.
I think, yeah, we'll keep working with that group if they want something different or whatever. That'd be a great collaboration piece, we thought.
Yep, for sure.
Not only is America celebrating 250 years, but next year Independence is going to be 150 years.
Oh,
And they're going to have that little celebration in June.
With the, that design of a logo for the 250th, we're hoping that all groups, then anytime that they're doing something next year, they can add on to, put the 250th on there, so that we're really kind of, promoting that and using that. So hopefully that'll be something that can go forward.
I guess, with just the conversation today, it would probably be nice, like on the county's tourism website, if any organization or any city in the county has anything pertaining to, well, Independence 150 years, America 250 years, if they would put that in, that, things to do.
yeah, that'd be good. Yep.
So do you want to talk about that and how you've been putting that together every month on things to do?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, so we have like a weekly recap on Facebook right now of things to do in the county each week. And we've just been pulling them from Facebook. Going forward, we're looking at wanting to get businesses to opt in and to supply their information to free up some of our time. But we're still exploring the best way to do that. So if there are things like that that people know of, if they could just reach out to us so that we can dive deeper and make sure that we're getting into those. But now that you said that, I will make sure that it gets in the 2026 Visitors Guide too, and try and reach out to see if I can get more details about that. So, thank you.
That's great. And I do like the Facebook idea. I've seen that. That looks great. And then I think maybe with anybody that has information, put out a Facebook post too. Sometimes that might be easier than them trying to get it on the web.
Yeah. We've been putting it on there on a few, almost like every other one. If you want to reach out to our com at co.trempealeau.wi.us.
And just so you know, Lexi, when I send that to people not from Trempealeau County, they're impressed with how active Trempealeau County is, because that sheet's always full.
Yeah,
When
that's nice.
events that are happening, people know that, hey, there's stuff going on all the time in that little county.
Yeah. Thank you.
Good job. That's great. And then Lexi, can you give us a quick update on the directory? How we doing? Do we need advertisers? Everything going all right? Or do you know?
The last update I heard was they wanted, businesses are looking for an update on the printer, so I need to connect with Becky. And then we did send out an email from myself to businesses so that they knew who Brandy was again. But otherwise, I think we still might need to look at another, or a little bit of help on that. I need to reach out to you, so.
Oh, sure. No problem. Let's see what we can come up with there. I think one of the issues always is the number of the number of directories that you put out there for the amount, the dollar amount that it ends up being. That's usually the trick. So maybe by being able to make some of those one-sheeters, we can sort of make sure that that grows a little bit, because I think that's the big hiccup, is it's not a lot of publications, So that's one of the things those advertisers will look at, is just kind of the numbers,
Yeah.
So that's good. We could,
I have a question about that. So in the past, we probably hadn't had a visitor's guide updated for probably a number of years.
Oh, yeah.
Is the plan to do it annually, biannually? Do we really need it annually?
kind of do, because and this is just my
We
two
talked about
cents.
this last week, I mean, month, I understand that, but go ahead, please.
Yeah, the only big thing is the number of changes specifically with businesses that happen. And then it's also harder, I think, to get businesses to do a 2-year commitment unless you can get a huge number of, you know.
Because of the expense. I was just kind of thinking a biannual, but the update
Is the tricky part.
is the
yeah.
tricky part.
Yes,
So you
it
don't want to
is,
wait for
you know,
2 years.
Yep, and I think nothing gets the consumer more upset than
Old
getting all
information.
excited to go someplace and then they go there and it's like
not
not been in business for a couple of years or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the things we ran into with the old one, you know, so I think it is kind of important to keep it updated, but I think we might have to look for some ways to be able to produce more, you know, so that more advertisers get excited about it, you know.
Okay. So you're talking about the individual sheets that are more disposable. Would this be individual sheets per area then? Are you talking about like, oh, no, okay.
No, it'd still be the county. I will scan it in and I can email you after this meeting what it looks like, but it was like the town festivals, a QR code to view the whole list or the whole book.
Oh,
But it's just like
cool,
a front
yeah.
and back kind of like
Sure.
intro into the county and the biggest things that you'd want people to see.
Okay.
I think
Sounds
what
good.
Lexi was trying to get at is sometimes it's so difficult, like at the
State
state fair.
fair, yeah.
You give
Can't
away
keep it all.
millions, you know, you could give away just a bunch. And how many of those people are really wanting to take that, you know, that can get a little, you know.
You grab it and then you
and
throw it away. You
throw
look at
away
it,
or
you throw it
something.
away.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, there's, if you get them to look at it, I've handed stuff out state fair and people got so much, the commercial building specifically.
Sure, yeah.
You've got so much, they just chuck it by the time they get to the end of the aisle. So
Yeah.
if you get something short and, especially if you have a little higher quality of paper that it's on,
Yeah.
I never threw out the stuff
The
that was
stuff
on
that
the
was-
good paper,
yes, yeah.
especially if you got QR codes.
Yes,
And QR
yeah.
codes, people hook
Yeah.
up right on, they want those, and that's a big deal. And also the thing about the annual, we can put the special events and give them a lot better highlight.
Yes.
If
Right.
you do
That's
it
good, too.
annually, because
Yeah.
things going on,
And the dates.
the more we can make it look different than it was last year, the
Yes,
better.
yeah,
Well, and a lot of people do go on internet now
yes.
to search out
yes.
things to
Oh,
do.
yes, for
So
sure.
that's a good thing.
Yeah. And I think if you have, if you have that QR code, maybe we can relate it to some kind of a contest too, so that we can start gathering some data about what people are looking for and some of that kind of stuff. We certainly have enough people in the county that would be willing to give you things to donate things for a prize, that kind of thing. And that makes a big difference, you know, if you do something fun, like, you know, a stay in a certain place or something like that. It's crazy how many people will
Good
sign up for that.
advertising, right?
And it's good advertising for the businesses. So it's kind of a win-win. So we could talk about that, and hopefully that will help a little bit.
Okay.
Good job. Jack, park report. Oh, good, yeah. That'd be handy, because then I don't have to go. Yeah, thank you.
I mentioned to you guys last meeting that we were going to be looking at doing some tree work over at the healthcare center property. That is not a pre-eligible expense within the grant. And then I learned that after talking to our grant contact that we might not be getting that letter until August 26. So that definitely affects timeline on how we do things that are on this summary of cost estimate. So things like the work that we wanted to do with the trees does have to wait. So we were planning to, you know, take 8 oaks down at the healthcare center that's adjacent there and identified just a straight tree is what's most important. So we have some that are kind of off the lane that we think are going to be the easiest to get to, and we'd use those as play elements. So that's one thing, or an example of things that we want to kind of get going, like with the project that we can do internal, that unfortunately we have to wait until we get the grant because it's listed here in our summary opinion of probable cost that we submitted last May. So anyone have any questions on that? There is other things we can do to get some of the other items of the project done, but anything that's on here is what we submitted for the grant. We've got a board here too, if anyone wants to take a look at that. But yeah, anything that's listed on here as a project item or play element, we'll have to wait until we get a formal letter.
A question, Jack. I was looking at that you'd have to follow planning guidelines, Wisconsin statutes. So, and I didn't take the time or get a chance to look at those statutes closely, but do they prevent us from doing certain things, like, for instance, with this plan? I mean, can we go to other areas? Rich, we were talking about that. Just, is there like local entities that we can look at to provide some of these services?
That are listed on here?
Yes.
Yeah.
We can start to talk about it, but no pricing or documentation can be recorded until after a formal letter is received.
So, to clarify, so are we sort of, can we rely on the fact that we're going to receive that letter confirming that we received the grant?
When we get a tentative award letter in the state of the Land and Water Conservation Fund, from everything I heard, it's just a matter of talking and discussing right now. That should be money that we're getting.
Should be.
Yeah. You just never know with grant stuff, but
Okay,
it's pretty solid.
okay.
It's probably more consistent with Knowles Warren than anything else, isn't it? It's a
Well-
solid grant.
Well, the Land and Water Conservation Fund is actually a separate, we were assigned that one based on other projects that were submitted.
Okay.
So there is Knowles Nelson projects, but we got assigned to this Land and Water Conservation Fund. And it's in a better spot than what Knowles Nelson is.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, we'll move on. So kind of some formal park plans that I've been using to guide my planning, with like things like CIP, learning a little bit more on how to work my planning in throughout the year. So just a couple documents that, if you guys don't mind taking a look at some point, is our outdoor recreation plan and the Petrick Park Master Plan. Some of this stuff was done before. Some of you served on this committee. Bob, I think you may have been in there. There might have been someone else when we had the master plan get approved, as well as the outdoor recreation plan. But kind of two things that have been guiding my planning with preparing for next year in park planning. So take a look at those. The need also for a Friends of group has become more prominent with what we're trying to do for the natural play area. And a 501c3 to solicit donations is always a good thing when you're trying to get a large amount of funds for a project. So between all the things that we're trying to do, like, outdoor recreation, water trail, natural play area, I mean, I don't know if we can somehow work all of these into one committee with Friends of group kind of taking a look at things, like the focus being natural play area to start, but we also want to incorporate this water trail and kind of start to make this Petrick Park a hub and a destination once this natural play area goes in. So some things to think about. Just wanted to mention it to you guys because I made some preliminary calls this week to some people that we had already talked to. So I think that's really important for us to kind of focus on. But then below here, I just have an example of what we had listed in our corp. It says, clean the rivers and creeks up so kayaking, canoeing, and fly fishing is more accessible. Clean the river and creeks up, banks up, and have plenty of green space along the banks for biking and hiking trails. I think that's really specific and could be hard to do, but definitely attainable in what we can do with the river cleanup. But if you take a look at kind of what Eau Claire County has below here, they're a lot more vague in their planning, and it gives you more room to kind of work for your more overall goals. So I'll just read the first one. Provide and maintain a quality, safe park facilities and varied outdoor recreational opportunities and experience that meet the needs of county residents, both now and in the future. So I really like how they're phrasing that. That gives you room in a 5-year planning document to be able to adjust. But there is still main goals that you should be thinking about. And that's really what these documents do. It's not something that you're using day to day, but it is kind of a guide or a plan to reference. And it's good for grants. And then just here's an update of what we went over in February. The stuff in yellow, I'll see if I can't zoom in a little bit here for you guys. So we've got kind of these projects that we'd said, hey, this is what we want to do this year. Some of them went to ongoing stuff and kind of stated that to you guys back in February that some of this stuff might take throughout the year. But I did give you an update of everything, everything that was mentioned to you in February and where it's at. So still some ongoing stuff that I'm working on. I've been able to incorporate working with Jeremy and the facilities guys, and that's really been a big help this year.
I have a question, Jack.
Yeah.
We talked about having to wait until August for some concrete plans. Does this mean fundraising as well?
No, fundraising, we can have those discussions now more than ever.
Discussion?
Just-
But we can't act on it.
Well, I think we need to be solid on a plan before we act. We've had a lot of good discussion about how we're going to attack this, and we even met as a group. So that kind of is the next step in having a group discussion and figuring out how to launch something. But like I said, that Friends of group is going to be really important. So me taking some time to figure out how we can reinvest our interest in that.
In the Friends group? Mm-hmm. So August, we're in, yeah, we've got some, time slips away.
Yeah, it does.
It's, so, yeah, I think,
But do we have the 501c3 in place?
No, it's something that I think should have been a priority for Peachtree Park 10, 20 years ago, and it just never kind of kicked off. So we do have some interested individuals that we met with June 24. Kind of made some calls this last week and tried to gauge interest again. And there seems to be, we could probably gather enough people to have something like this. But there's just a few ideas that I kind of want to work into this Friends of group. I think that's
But
the
the-
best way to go about it.
but just asking about your question, is this something that Corporation Council would have to help us with, Rebecca?
Yes.
Okay,
And that's specifically why this conversation is kind of shifting back to that Friends of the group, because of the donation policy
right.
conversation that we're having with Corp Council. So,
And
yeah.
Yeah, the other thing to keep in mind is, you can't get a raffle license or anything like that without being a 501c3. So I would think that's the first place to start before you
The
really.
difficulty is volunteerism.
yeah.
And so the question is how are we involved with that Friends group and how can we be a help to that group? Because and I think specifically in my experience, at least with volunteerism, is it's the hardest piece is to find the coordinator person. So if we can help here internally as the coordinator help, and then we can usually find people that are interested in doing, I'll do, one day of this, or one day,
Right. But
But
they don't
it's
wanna
the
coordinate the whole
coordinating piece that's a lot of work, and it's harder to find people that will do, so.
Makes sense. Okay.
And then, any questions about projects that we stated at the beginning of the year and where we're at? Got horse camping, new signage, entrance signage, water fountain, dog dispensers, donation boxes, dock install, septic, which we identified in our proposal with High Cliff that we want to wait until we know a little bit more about park traffic. Picnic table frames, Helgeson's been doing a great job on that. Did get some help from facilities a couple months back. See here, Tom Shank, working that out. I think that's gonna be done when his corn comes down on Thursday or Friday. So got all the fencing materials that we need and planning to do a prairie 12-foot prairie buffer in front of this new fence.
So what's, is barrier fence is gonna be barbed wire or?
Barbed wire.
5-line still?
4-line.
4-line? Mm-hmm. Okay.
4-line barbed wire with a 12-foot prairie buffer, so. A few things that we're trying to coordinate there. I've got an Amish contact that Tom gave me where he can get some good labor. That can get it done in a day. So, and then we've got a volunteer guy that's adjacent, Mark Brave, that'll come and till the property for us.
Thank you.
Quick question, Jack. The entrance sign,
Yeah.
you were waiting to find out more about traffic? Is that what you said? Not traffic, but
Oh,
usage or
no,
whatever.
it
What
was
the-
septic.
No, the entrance sign. The
Yeah,
entrance sign.
we'll have something coming up for entrance sign. I think I've got a decent update laid out for you guys.
Oh, good, okay.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, when does the season start really cooking?
Like camping season?
Yeah,
It depends, like, we've got a lot to do in the spring, and there's, seasonals are getting in, so we'll have, a few things to do right away in the beginning of the year, and then it's kind of holiday-based, Memorial, July 4th, and then obviously Ashley, and then we've got a good group of campers yearly that come and use our facilities during the hunting season.
for deer hunting. How about over winter? Is it used at all for over winter?
Right now, we still have gravel roads. Phase 2 of this project which isn't identified in the grant, so that's a good fundraising potential there, is improving the road system. So that the park really can't, I don't think, be open year round when there's wet times. It can, if it stays dry, the park can be open, but as soon as it gets wet, we get too much damage to our roads.
Okay.
until we
And
can
that would
get-
include snow? Thank you.
That's why in the wintertime, when the snow was plowed out there in the parking lot, it was kind of blocked off to go to the worker shed, and then also when you're coming into the park to the left. So you had a berm that people can't go through the park with a vehicle, but they can go through on foot traffic.
Yeah, yeah. So we can put that gate up, like Bob is saying. We did that last year, so you can open half the park or a quarter of the park to the public for a little bit, but,
How
all
about
things
snowmobile?
to consider.
How about snowmobile trails? Are there any trails that go through the park?
No, not right now, just because we don't have a connection. But that's something that's been talked about. That's why a bridge would be important. I think we can make that connection if we had a bridge.
I know one of the things we talked about too for your improvements and stuff is every few years we were considering putting, more water lines in and electricity instead of having one big project that, at one time, say do one line trenching, for waterworks, expand into the new area for camping and that, so it's not such a big burden
Yeah.
on doing that. So, I mean, we should include that instead of or ignoring it.
Absolutely. I think that's definitely something we want to consider once we get a few of these projects kind of at a good state. I think we can figure out what's the best kind of place to put some extra campsites, as well as we've got the space, we got the campsite, we got the space, but I think there's other areas in the park that need to be utilized, and there's other areas for improvement. Like we'd talked about yurts last meeting, and
Right.
that's something I think we should really look into, like 28, 29, once we have, some of this stuff at a better spot.
Have you thought at all as far as like a side-by-side access coming in from the north or?
Right now, we don't have ATVs allowed in the park.
Right.
So I think Chapter 5 ordinance, once we think Petrix is at a good state, would have to get revised. But yeah, I mean, side-by-side, that'd be, what are you talking about, like a connection to?
Connection too, so you can get, you can't go on a state highway with the side-by-side, but if we could get, so we'd access from one of the township roads, cut across road or something that we could access in. A lot of the
That's huge.
parks that I've been attending with my side-by-side.
Yep.
They bend over backwards to make a trail access, because if you don't have to trailer and you can camp, you're gonna get people that are gonna stay there for, we have it in my hometown, there's 40 or 50 minimum every weekend as far as for the cheese trail. They're camping right there in town and filling up a gas at Casey's and doing the whole 9 yards. It'd be a good attraction if we had a trail
Yeah.
access to a camp area so they don't have to trailer. Just down the road, not,
It's a great, yeah, that's a great point. We do have like a verbal agreement horse trail that goes back there. So like, it is kind of something that could be attainable.
and I've ridden the horse
Through
trail
the
and it
Recreation
works.
Trails program too.
Yeah.
Phil and I were just talking about that yesterday.
And that's a perfect demographic for this park, because it doesn't, 90% of their time is on the UTV or ATV or side-by-side, and they're not so concerned about what activities are going on in the park,
They need a place to sleep and park there
Right,
side by
exactly,
side.
'cause that's what they're
all
doing.
looking
That's what
for.
they're doing, yep.
They're gonna be out driving all through the area, stopping at East End for a meal,
Right.
going through all those accesses that you can get by township roads. The state highway eliminates that access to the front.
Yeah.
But what ends up happening is you get a few coming in every year, and all of a sudden you've added more seasonality to your campers.
100%,
You bet, they come in all the time.
It's my understanding that, we could maybe petition the state to allow part of 93 being operated by side-by-sides. I know Highway 54 down by North Bend, there's an area of about a mile that they are gonna be allowing this spring to travel that, to get from North Bend to another road, Buckles Road, I think it is, to take you over to the Happy Hollow and through. So there's a possibility that, I don't know, what's the closer road, Double X, maybe? Crossroad. Crossroad from the north, yeah.
And that's what
And
I would
that's a
do because
town
of the
road, yeah.
traffic too,
Right,
because
right.
basically you're pulling it off the backside of Independence so people can come in. We've set up routes in other places. That's what we have in our hometown. We've got just basically the side-by-side route goes right down Main Street, right to the fuel stations, right to the restaurants, and then it goes to the DNR trail. All we'd have to do is get an approved route, and some of them can be approved depending on whether they go over a bridge. Some of them can be approved specific to what you have. I just don't like the idea of getting on state highway for too long, especially 93. So that's why I stayed away from that, but I'd love to come off the township road. That'd be
Yes,
awesome.
Yeah, and that's great, a great use, and will definitely increase your camping nights.
Yep. Pretty swampy back there. That's the only thing to consider, staying out
They'll
of
love it. Side by sides, that is an
Yeah.
advantage. I've got so many guys that are sick of
They like to
driving
get
pavement.
wet. Yeah.
They wanna check out that four-wheel drive on that side by side.
Okay,
Can we move on to the?
yes.
Yes, please. Sorry for the slow.
No, you're good. So park budget, here's just a year-to-date, since we haven't really addressed a year-to-date with you guys, through September. So in all categories, just wanted to throw that in there, and you guys can look, at some of my accounts if you'd like, and if you have any suggestions, feel free. But yeah, that should do it for park report.
I've got one question.
Yeah.
I'd like to know why the school district of Independence was charged $500 for their cross-country meet when school events are free at the park.
So that is something that was decided between DLM, and it's never been in our ordinance or anything.
Yes, it
So
has.
where in the ordinance?
The people that donated the park had basically for the youth of the county. And their stipulations were kids' events are always welcome out there.
Yeah.
And the other thing is if you have some high-class commercial thing out there and some kids want to come for a 4-H event, guess who takes priority? So I am going to make a thing that the city or school district Independence gets reimbursed.
Okay. That's okay. I'm fine with either way if we decide to go in that direction. My thought process was We established a small gatherings, special event, where they were gonna use the shelter, which they ended up not using the shelter. And it was their kind of first event. So with the liability of someone getting hurt, they signed off on a small gathering, special event, a permit, which we approved also in February's meeting at that price. So that's kind of my thought process, but I'm okay with going either direction.
I'd like to make that in a form of a motion
Okay.
to reimburse the Independent School District $500, and for any ongoing events out there, school-related, that they are not charged.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Is this something that has to be changed in policy, ordinance?
I mean, we should probably go back to February that we approved like that. I can address that next meeting.
Was it just sort of silent? I just,
It was like, so small gatherings, 500, we decided 500 and 300. And maybe we were thinking a different type of event, you know?
I think we were.
I think we were. I think that was just a translation problem, Bob. I
Yeah.
don't think we
Yeah.
were changing policy.
Yeah, okay. So we can, yeah, not a problem. I thought that was kind of a high price to charge them. I felt bad about it, so I'm totally fine with getting them their money back.
I think the biggest concern is there's insurance, there's liability insurance, that's been covered.
So maybe we just, waive the fee next time, but still have them, sign the permit.
Most of that stuff is covered under the WIAA,
That too.
I would agree.
And the campground code that.
but they said it
Has
went over very
exceptions
good,
and
and they're hoping to come back in future years, and next year it'll be bigger, they said.
Okay.
And they plan on, doing a little practicing out there like next summer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can I ask a quick question, Jack? Looking at your budget year-to-date, what is included in professional services?
So professional services is when we have Semington,
Oh,
out
yeah,
to the park to
that kind
do
of
the
thing. Got it.
lines, that type of thing.
Contractors.
Yeah, we've had a few other contractors in there throughout the year for various stuff.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Madam Chair, this is Jean.
Hi, Jean. Go ahead.
Just a quick question. What, have Bob say, what his motion was again? Was it just independent school, or was it all schools or all events?
So there always is, Gene, it's made to reimburse the city, or the school district of Independence, the $500, and that all youth or all youth activities are not charged.
Okay. Thank you.
And then, Jack, the other thing we should maybe make a note of is that immunity law that Wisconsin's got passed, we should make sure that we have that sign up in the park that basically says,
Yes.
if you trip over a twig, it's a part of the experience of camping, so. And that's, we're one of the only states that has it. I think there's 3 of them now.
Okay.
have it, so.
Was
Just
that
post
recent?
it. 3-4 years ago.
Okay.
Is there a state sample or something that Jack can get?
100%.
Okay, good.
Go on
I'll
our
figure
website.
it out.
I guess I'd,
their website? Good deal, right?
That's
I-
convenient,
Jack,
thank
I'd like to rephrase that, so it includes all the schools in the county.
Okay. And that's totally fine by me. We'll just kind of look at what was motioned. I'll come back with something in my park report next month and how we phrase that. But yeah, I agree with you, Bob.
Okay, so what you guys are looking to do is to amend the previously adopted motion?
Okay. No, do we do that?
To include all of the schools in the county,
So you would amend, so you're basically offering an amendment on a previously
adding
adopted?
to it, yes.
You bet.
Okay.
So basically, just the phrase, the second is required, the debate is not eligible, and you guys can just vote on it again. So
Okay,
Lori, just
all in-
call for a vote.
Okay, all in favor?
Hi.
aye.
All right,
Any opposed?
Oh,
Motion passes.
just to make it legal, Bob, you just can't debate it after you've done that, if it's an
Perfect.
amendment.
All right.
And then, any other questions on the year-to-date through September? All right, I'll be brief with Park and Rec, outdoor rec priorities, if we want to move on to that.
Yes, please.
So I mentioned August. It might be anywhere in the range of May to August that we received that formal letter, but did want to be transparent with you guys about what I learned. And then CIP, I think I might have like a sort of a revamp that you guys haven't seen of what we're trying to do with our capital improvement planning that I should be able to share pretty soon. And then just some grant work with the natural player development, a couple grants in snowmobile, and then did apply for urban forestry, specifically for park project trees, so those would have to get moved back to fall instead of spring like I was hopefully planning. And then just been spending a lot of time with research and education type things. Got a new kind of local county group that I got set up with the Eau Claire County Park guy, where we got a good group of seven counties where we'll start meeting via Zoom quarterly, and then one kind of on-site thing where we can learn from each other's county parks. And there's some knowledgeable people in that group and people I can learn from. And then Water Trail, we actually reached a phase where we can get some work done on this. So I'm going to be working with Bo. He talks to the volunteer fire departments that are throughout the county. And with flooding being such a big thing within Trempealeau County, that's like it might be the #1 safety hazard. So that's something we really thought we should key on. Even started in the summer when we had all those Texas floods, and kind of reached the point that if we're thinking about this water trail, emergency planning has got to be a part of it. So could be working with Bo, and I think in January there might be some type of volunteer fire department presentation that we do for them, and they're focusing on like a $7,000 kind of rescue boat that's inflated. The one in Independence, I guess, took a digger when they were trying to get those people out in July. They pulled the boat motor back and it snapped. So. Yeah, so that boat would be really important and really cool because, it's a light type boat that can be moved throughout the county. Like $7,000, I think he said. But yeah, I think we'd be focusing on that middle part, which we've talked about from Colonel Larson to Schultz Park. So Whitehall, there's about 6 established ports. And then we work to try to get down to the Mississippi in time. Right now, we'd probably just want to do like a little sign at each of the ports. And once, maybe 2-3 years comes about and you get the whole 11 ports down to the Mississippi, then you could do kind of an overarching thing and maybe a cool sign at Petrick. So.
As for knowing what the water level is, there are water gauges in the county. I don't
That
see
too.
why we couldn't incorporate that in the website.
Absolutely,
Because
and
there's
Bo's
like
got
about
those
8
on
of them.
his emergency planning website. So that's been a huge thing, is the action level on the Trempealeau is 6 feet. So we're also working on an app, or Lexi is with the university students. So that being incorporated, if the river, I don't know, is at 6 feet.
Yeah, but you should be able to, day to day, I mean,
Yeah.
it's dry and everything right now, but I mean, we should be able to incorporate that for day to day, no different than snowmobilers looking at the snow level.
Yeah.
Says they should be able to go and just click on the site, for Trempealeau County, that lets them know what the water level is on a day-to-day thing, just an add-on, no different than a lot of these websites have when you look for a weather condition. Click here and it's 70 degrees and
Emergency management was in charge of that.
yeah, but I mean, just to put it on the
You have
tourism
it there
thing,
so
so that
you
they
can
can just
click it,
click to
yeah.
it and just say, well, I wonder what the water level is today.
Yes, yes.
Right now, I'd say we got a
go.
couple clicks to that. I think we can work on trying to make it just one single click, or where you can view it where you're trying to find information.
Okay. What's next, Jack?
And I'm good on that.
All right, then how about the park outdoor recreation priorities?
That was just the
Oh,
one
sorry,
we did, yeah.
natural play area
Yep.
update.
So I've got Phil here, and I'll just kind of go through some of the things that we'll probably be talking about. But just excited on the point we reached in the design process where we got playground renderings that we're going to share with you, a site plan, and then one of the things that I think we need to consider as a committee is the kind of the relationship we have with Ashley, and if this natural play area is going where this parking lot has been for years, how should we plan for that on the back end? So Phil had mentioned a cul-de-sac, and to think about that, that's not in our plan, but that is something I think we need to think about with how important that shuttle and that relationship with Ashley Furniture is for the park. So just something I wanted to bring up.
So quick question about that, Jack. So where were the Ashley people parking? Where the playground area is going to be?
I guess right now it would probably have to be reconsidered, that parking lot and
Well, I
how
guess
we
that's
do
my
that.
question.
Yeah.
Is that where they were parking?
Yeah.
So we would have to find another spot. So do you have anything in mind?
We could either do it something on the entrance road, we could utilize that, but I wouldn't, like towards the Shank site. But there's not a ton of room, and then we do have a drain field for our campsites on the other side of the road. So it's almost thinking, there's a couple spots where you could maybe enter in the entrance road or kind of shift things a little further back and make people walk, or use kind of closer to the cornfield to put people. But it is something that I think we need to talk about and be solid on before we're talking with Ashley, further. Like, we should know where those people are going to go.
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea if we're gonna start thinking about fundraising as well.
Yeah. But then just have a contract with SRF. We have a little bit more on it than what's listed here. I think we've got about 15,000 left. So some other things that are gonna come up once you kind of see the site plan and the renderings is stormwater planning. So you'll see the retreatment, the treatment kind of plan for stormwater that's listed in the site plan. Phil will go a little bit more into that. But just thinking about the pre-engineering costs, that's the only eligible expense prior to getting that formal letter. So we can, consider that for grant stuff and document everything. But yeah, so we got maybe a change order to consider.
Can I ask, is the grant then, is that their expectation, if they're not confirming that until the end of August, that this is a 2027 project then?
Yeah, it puts us in a bad spot for contractors, for sure. So Phil and I have talked about that, is 27, what can we do in 26, and might have to think about 27. But, unfortunately, we might have to think about a phased approach about what we can do with the timetable that we have, kind of getting restricted. All right, and then changes to the entry feature. That's something that we have talked about internally and voiced over to SRF within the last couple months. So they incorporated that into the plan, but it wasn't necessarily a part of the grant. So it is still a part of the natural play area, so I'm gonna have to get more concrete on that. But all of this is federal funding that goes to the state and then goes to the National Park Service. So the state kind of reviews what I write to them, and then they send it over to MPS. But yeah, then just the outdoor recreation plan for 27-31. I'll be, looking into that in the new year about, are we doing that with the Friends of group? Are we, having, because you do have to have a committee for this. So maybe with state statutes, it has to be its own thing, but we will look more into that. And then, I don't know, Phil, do you want to say a few words about how planning's been going for SRF?
Well, it's good to be back. Thank you for this opportunity. And it's been good to work with Jack. He's really grown as a professional. I've been appreciating the depth and understanding that he's developed on this project. And he's transitioned through a number of other plans prior to him coming. So I think we're at a good place. And one of the things that we needed to do and intentionally held back on my end was we had developed a plan that had precedent images and a concept plan that kind of mapped out some direction. So when we got to this point where Jack was saying, well, let's look at our fundraising potential, I said, well, let's develop a tool that you can use. And so we discussed this to take this design further. I don't necessarily want to assign what level of design we're at, like 20%, 30% or whatever, but the point being is that we had to figure some things out as far as buildability issues. And so we also added some of those other things about circulation and some of the features that would, want to be advanced through the philanthropic portion of the project. So we developed the site plan over again, revised it to show some of the things that were reflected in the grant application, the pieces and the parts that are there. We validated that these elements were included in the grant. So these may be placed in different areas, but they were elements that were on your plan that we had the precedent images of. So if you want to move on, I want to just show you what we've done then to help you in your discussions with different parties. And, not to limit it to just one or two parties, but this could be something that the community could get excited about. And so I was fortunate. I was out west for a period of time, and I went to a playground manufacturer who's the one that we've been in contact with many, multiple ones, but I went to see their operations and construction or factory in right outside of Portland. And so this element, this nest, for example, is something that's there, and I was able to see and get a sense for that. But really a good product if we get to that point. But we wanted to kind of have this warm image that draws people in initially, and a little who can be against a little girl in a little nest, sitting on top of a berm in a wildflower area. So the next slide starts drilling into some of the elements that we have. We have these pieces that we've incorporated into the plan throughout time, and that's the parts that are the elements that are built or constructed locally by different groups that Jack has been in conversations with. Then this stepping and jumping and moving and circulation and keeping things kind of fluid around this spot, populating it with things that are natural that you can find, and Jack and I spent some time selecting some trees that would be incorporated in this. Sometimes the delay of time may be to a benefit to let the trees season a little bit that we're going to have to be working with, and having these groups do some of the preparatory work on these stepper items. And then some other, digging into some of the details. Let's go to the next one. One of the elements is this siloed, this play structure with a roof and a corral and something like that. Some of those elements we may want to, enhance a bit. I'm thinking that the silo, the barn should really be a solid roof instead of a mesh roof. I think it would allow more visibility to this, and I think we want to have, as you're coming into the play area, coming into the park, you want to have some kind of beacon that, you know, naturally draws attention. So we've got that intentionally placed to the southeast portion of the playground. If you want to move on then. We also went to, you know, we've got a small tot area that we've got a number of little tot features within there, but they connect together with these steppers. But we have some things that focus on different age groups. And then, you know, it has to have something that gives observation and, you know, one thing about playgrounds is that they have a fall zone around each play element, which stretches the playground out quite a bit because you're accommodating those fall zones, so it kind of looks a little bit like an empty site sometimes, but we're going to incorporate trees into it, so it's not going to be like a basin with just wood chips in it. We're going to have, you know, trees as part of the play, not the play elements, but just kind of an area that anchors the playground. On the next one, you start seeing the entrance feature. Whoops, I skipped up on one. So this gets in a little bit closer to the tot play area and some of the activities in motion that you can see in here. I think, again, this is going to be very helpful as you talk to your donors. You know, maybe the donor is going to want to say, well, we'll sponsor the tot element, or you want to, you know, create opportunities for these that are smaller, and, you know, we can use these drawings to help that. So this starts showing you an entrance element, which we didn't really know where we were going to go with this, other than it needed to be significant from what our conversations have evolved with Jack. And it wants to be kind of an element that, you know, gives somebody some identity in it. So this is not even close to what I'm imagining now, but there's a lot of wood elements in here. It should be a wood structure, maybe a timber structure, and maybe something with a solid roof rather than an open roof. But we'll get through that as we get further into talking with different donors. But I think it wants to have more mass and significance, and it wants to be like we're showing a timber structure, but you know, these details have to be worked out. The next slide goes into kind of a broader view looking at the water feature, a water feature. Now this changed over time to a number of different things, and we'll see have to see how we can work this in to the plan, because the water feature is part of the section that was provided by in-house staff or by local groups and not by contractor. And we had a number in there. One of the things we've done, though, is use this to maybe illustrate what a potential stream element would be, not with an active stream, but something that would kind of flush through it. And we talked about, and you can't really pick this up too much, but to the top on the right side, left side of it, you see this barrel. So the concept is you have this keep-fill barrel that you take off your water supply, and then you can dump that barrel into this stream, and then it kind of works its way down rapidly to this basin, and then we'll get these play elements in the basin. So it doesn't have a constant flow, and so you just can kind of use it as, set up little dams or breaks or whatever that, you're dumping the water into it, and it might be more fun that way than just having a pump or some other simple thing. But it's rocks and gravel, so that's with a liner. The last thing, one of the last things is the bird's eye views. So this one shoots from the southwest. Looks really nice. I'm sorry, this is to the southwest. the entrance. I'm kind of picturing this, yes. So this gives you kind of the scope and scale of the project. And so we're not getting into the parking areas and the circulation areas that are going to be important to the discussions with some of your other groups. The other view is essentially where those berms, there's a series of berms outside, inside and outside. So the inside berms are going to be where we're putting some slides in, and there's 3-foot to 4-foot slides and 5 to 6-foot slides. So we've got 2 areas that have a different height and character, and then they're going to have elements in there, rocks and climbers and, you know, things that you can scurry up the little mounds and come on down. And the outside, we're going to have this circulation route that is not handicap accessible, and it's a challenge area, but you make it to this nesting area. We've got 2 of the nests that we're identifying, and in those I can see, you know, putting elements out there that you can build this nest, and it might be branches and twigs and hay and whatever kinds of things, but I think that that's going to be a pretty dynamic thing. But again, it's really honing in on creativity using the natural environment. So that's kind of the emphasis of this design. And there's other elements with stormwater, and I'm not 100% sure that location is going to be the correct location for stormwater because the grade kind of goes up in that area. But we'll figure that out. And the stormwater will also be a natural feature. We're going to have a planted bottom, so it's not going to be just a wet pond, it'll be a dry pond. So any questions? Anything you need some further definition?
Did you want
Phil, this
approval
is
for the
Gina,
design?
Community.
Go ahead, Jean.
One of the things I was going to bring up is the handicap situation. How can you work on that to implement more things for handicapped people, also autistic? Is there something that can be done even through ADA? Because I think it's important that people with disabilities aren't forgotten about.
Correct. So I was recently picked up a vendor that I'm going to talk to Jack about, where it's engineered wood fiber for this whole project, which is an accessible surface. And the wood fiber is something that's a double broken hardwood that knits together, so you can have wheelchair accessibleness. All the play elements are going to have a transfer point. Not all of them, but some of the manufactured elements are going to have a transfer point, so you can transfer from a chair into it. The accessibility issue and an ADA issue is trying to develop experiences like experiences. You cannot duplicate all the experiences. You cannot have everything open to access, but you can create that experience in some other ways. Like, that's why you have that larger structure. That's going to be your primary ADA accessible structure. And it's not going to be built with ramps, but it's going to be built with transfer points, which is really adds to the challenge of people in restricted mobilities. But it is acceptable in the CPSC standards. For example, getting to other places, I think certain vendors deal with sensory and spectrum issues differently, and we haven't gone into that here, but I would like to examine that a little bit more, and some of that I can explain at a later meeting about how we're going to deal especially with people on the autism spectrum, which is, I think, a pretty cool way. We could do it, too, using natural materials, and that's going to be my first goal with this.
Yeah, maybe, Jack, you can get us some more information on that for next meeting. Okay?
Yeah.
Any other questions?
You.
Nope.
Jack, you started a comment before?
Yeah, I think, Phil, you had asked, I think approval would for your design, just to move forward by the committee would, is kind of what SRF, I think, is looking for. If you guys are okay with this design and to keep moving forward, just maybe put it up to a vote
Can I
or,
make a comment, I guess? Because of the conversations that I've had with Supervisor Severson and Supervisor Anderson, I think we should connect again to maybe talk about next steps because of design and things and conversations that I've had in follow-up.
Yeah.
That I want to make sure, so I don't want to put a hold up either, but if you're okay with that, I was hoping we could connect after this meeting.
Yep, I think that's great. So can we just hold on that until?
yeah.
Yeah,
I'll try to come back with something for next meeting, and
Yes.
then maybe we put it to a vote then.
Okay.
okay.
Because there is, it sounds like just some more details to figure out about how we're approaching it, so.
And I think Jean's comment is well taken. I mean, if we can look at more accessibility and certainly more things for autism, that really will help with your donors and such as well. So definitely something you want to look at. And then let's quickly move on to the construction of the dual directional entrance signage at Patriot Park.
Yeah. So, tried to lay everything out best as I can. We've been talking about this since June. So kind of wanted to give everyone an overview of what's been talked about, what's been discussed, how I thought we should proceed based on those discussions. So yeah, back since June, pretty much the goal I thought was a durable, visually appealing, easily recognizable, consistent with Trempealeau County's Patriot Park. And then for it to be lit. So we have kind of a process between an RFP and how we get our public notice out. That public notice that we issued in like July, I don't think it was concrete enough, so it never got posted to the Times. So it does have to get posted to the Times, and kind of that's where I think we should have our focus is figuring out design specs and what our public notice is going to say for a Times publication.
Can you explain this again? I'm sorry, I missed what are you
Yeah.
saying?
So we addressed a public notice at July's PTED meeting
Public notice for,
for the construction of
Oh.
an entrance
Are you
signage.
talking about an RFP?
Yeah. And it never got published, because I think you're supposed to publish a public notice.
Jeremy, did you have something?
Yeah. So I've been working with Jeremy on this, so.
Okay.
Okay.
So Jack's been getting my help, and I've seen a few of the designs and plans with the stone woodwork and everything else. So the issue that I found in that one was there was quite a few different designs, and then you brought forth a few, and then some other ideas were presented at the same time. So trying to help Jack write an RFP was hard, because there's no, it needs to be written so I get apples to apples bids from different vendors. So if we just say, I want a stone and wood sign, how big?
Right.
Does it need to be 12 feet tall, 14 feet tall? I need a range to go through so that we can post it. If it's stonework, are we wanting limestone? Are you wanting like the stone, like the City of Arcadia put up those welcome signs? Do you want it to match that kind of stone? Or do you want it in granite? What kind of signage needs to be on it? Is it just Patriot Park? Is it the extra signage that shows camping and canoeing, shelter rental, playground, stuff like that? Other than that, if we just put out a very vague, then we're gonna get a bid from Company A at $600. We're gonna get a bid from Company B at $8,000. And then if we put it out for RFP, then we have to go with the lowest responsible bidder at that point, But if they're not apples to apples bids, then it doesn't work out favorably for the county. Then we have to start the process all over again. So I can't speak to the ad in the paper from a few months ago or anything else like that. It's just going through the specs of what he has now and having him get clarification from you guys on kind of what it is, and then I'll help him out, do an RFP. We'll get it up in the paper, we'll get it listed on the website. Because I know, again, a few months ago, I think, Bob, you or some friends of yours or some volunteers at the park, you guys put a concrete pad up near the beginning or at the entrance to the park, but is that pad gonna be big enough for what you want? And I don't know if we put rebar in that, so I don't even know if it's strong enough to hold. If we're putting up a 2,000 pound, or a 2-ton or a 6-ton sign, we need to evaluate that as well, so.
Can I
See, when
ask-
that pad was poured, he had already had a couple of designs, and I thought that's what we were going on, is just to vote on the 2 or 3 different designs you had and then send it out for a bid that way. But this throws a loop in the whole thing. We might as well just start all over again.
And I think that's kind of where, is taking the designs that you have now, because what Jack's finding out too is when he reached out to one company and he said, okay, kind of give me here's what I want you to make for me. And then they sent back specs, and they go, okay, now if you want to continue on, you're gonna need to send out a retainer, a deposit, so that's fine for making a bid from company A. But then if they're making the design specs, you're not really gonna you're gonna kind of exclude them from doing the bid later because they designed, but then you have to have other company. It's just the legal aspects when it comes to the bidding process. And this is newer for Jack, but it's
Yeah.
more in line what my department does all the time. So I just wanna make sure that, one, we don't get the county in any trouble by excluding companies. And that we get fair bidding back, because there's only so many people that will do the signs, but we need a clear explanation of what we're wanting.
Right.
Can we, we have a lot of pictures, could we just bring all those pictures and then you would make a determination on this is what we want it to look like?
What we need to do,
Yeah.
and I think that would be a much more structured
That's
way of doing it,
what's
Jack.
laid out below. I included those Michigan ones that you gave me, and then tried to get, they weren't as big and high as I thought. They were more wide. But we also have our fence to consider. We have about a 4-foot tall fence. But it does see through, but these are more kind of wide-ish signs and this one's a little bit taller.
And that's the kind of stuff that, again, on my opinion, is what we're looking at is, and then you're gonna want it kind of facing, I'm assuming, north to south, so as you're coming up the highway, you see it a little bit better, but you gotta stay back from that railroad so far, and I think the grade kind of comes down, so you are gonna want it a little bit taller so that you can see it from the road, so.
Yeah.
Just
But-
taking all the pictures and design specs that you have now and narrowing down a rough approximation. I don't need you to say it needs to be a 6x14. I know you know,
No.
it's gotta be a range
Yeah.
from, let's say, 8 to
But
14 feet
Jack, I
wide.
think you
from-
need to do the work on that and then bring it back to us, so that we can just look at these 3 and 4, and you're not doing extra work that you don't know if is even worth, we don't even know if it'll work now, so I think you need to do the work so that we can look at it and say, here's 4 options, or whatever, these are my 4 best picks, let's move forward.
So if that's, then I can work with Jack over the next month, go
Yes.
through all the specs that you
Yes.
have, because he's kind of familiar with which ones you guys were
Yep.
leaning towards a little bit more.
Yep.
And then bring you some spec sheets in December's meeting, and just say, are you
Yep.
fine with this size, this stone? And then you can make tweaks at that point. No, I didn't want limestone, I wanted slate stone, or whatever it might be.
Right,
And then we can go from there.
and then we can know
And we
that.
all should include in there, have this done by June or July, that way we've drug it out for a whole year.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's,
because you're not gonna do anything anymore this year.
no, and that's where that's a conversation that we had too. It's like the pad that you put down would have been fine for something before, but now if we're gonna have to put a new foundation for a new sign, while you can do concrete in the winter,
it's not
there's other things, and this stonework it's not like you're gonna call them on Monday and they're gonna be done by the end of the week. A lot of this stuff is gonna be custom made, built in site, and so then if it is stone, you're gonna have mortar work that needs to get done. So you're looking at, if we get the bid out January, then yes, you have the work done by
Sure.
end of spring, something like that, so.
And I think that's great, but I think, Jack, the big thing is making sure that we have the height and that you bring to us, here, this sign will provide you this. It'll get you sight from this far, whatever that might be, and then give us some of those, so then we can make a decision versus just a few.
No, yeah, I think like 3 or 4 visual options for you guys to pick from. And basically, I have a lot of the details down about what you guys have said in past meetings and what you kind of want to
Yep.
see.
Right,
So
I think-
like giving you concrete options
Yes.
and details on, just based on images that you guys can pick from, I'm fine with doing
Yeah,
And
that.
I
we'll,
think
we'll take the
something like
best
that.
aspects from all the ones that he has with the choices that you've made and come back with spec sheets. And it may not be 100% accurate to one of the pictures, but you'll be able to visualize what we're looking at
Yes.
based on
Yep.
those, so.
Most guys that do that, you can look at a picture and they get it pretty darn close.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly, you bet, yep.
And I did some estimates, like Wazee, they just put up a new sign, that's real nice. And it was 12 foot in length, 4 foot tall, but they used rock, from right on site. And we're able to do some things internally.
Yep, so Jack, if you
know.
want to just pull that work together and then bring it back to us, that'd be great.
You're so far off the roadway that it's gotta be tall.
It's got to be tall.
Yeah.
Well, I think we had talked about information pieces to put on the sign as well, the little icons for canoeing.
Yep, and that's in the RFP
Oh, good.
language.
Okay,
Thank you.
Great.
And that's, like I said, we'd have to work to distinguish it. I'll try to go out there with Jack and try to be a certain distance from the road to know,
Yes,
you know,
yeah.
it's like a canoeing sign. It's
How
not
far
gonna be
away are you
that
gonna
prominent
be?
from the highway,
Yeah.
so it's gotta be decent enough, so the base has gotta be big enough to hang from it, so you can at least
Perfect.
see what's there as you're driving
And then
by.
just the one other thing, looking at this being a CapEx, a fund between this and security cameras. So that would get mentioned in a RFP or approval next meeting.
The installation of the security cameras, that's the next agenda item? Or are
Sure.
you going to move that to?
No, I think.
Okay.
I mean, those are ready whenever you guys are ready to make an approval on that or a motion on that.
The security
We're
cameras?
pretty concrete with IT, and I've been in discussions with them. I asked Tim to provide some type of email that I could share with you guys, but he hadn't yet. But he's all on board with using Verkada cameras. That's what we use here in the county, within the county building. And basically, I had to go through Tim, and then that conversation from last month's meeting of incorporating the sheriff's office did occur. So we do want it to be a collaborative effort where multiple people can see the cameras. And I added into your guys' packets the quotes that got updated. I said there was going to be a price increase. So we did get a price increase for the 3 identified for 2026. So we could potentially motion on this or, table it again. But this is something I'm targeting for 2026, but it's from a relapsing fund. So we can make a decision on it whenever.
How much is that fund, Jack?
The CapEx, I think there was 162,000 identified for Petrick Park. And then we were gonna be focusing on 50,000
For the
initially for security cameras and entrance signage project.
So you said that you discussed this with the sheriff's department. What was the result of that discussion?
Just included Wayne in on the discussion. Didn't get any response from him. But basically, Tim would be involved in getting dispatch views of the cameras. So.
Okay.
Yeah, it would be
And that would be like
dispatch after talking with Tim.
24/7?
What's that?
That would be 24/7?
Correct.
So cameras would not go through a camera company for like you
would
get a phone call, say somebody's coming into Rich Anderson's house.
Right.
This would be right through the dispatch center that they would be monitoring.
Correct.
Versus going through a security company.
Right, and I would have a view for it. Potentially, someone like Jeremy would have a view, just to check on having multiple people being able to
Sure.
view those cameras was
As
what
well
I
as
thought was
dispatch.
important after last meeting.
As well as dispatch? Okay.
Yeah. So this map I included was kind of what I thought would be important. Sorry for the multicolored thing, but I had to use red and yellow, just because I had already used that in a previous map. But for 2026, I think it'd be important to focus on the restroom and shower facility, the claw shelter, and the maintenance shed. And then 2027 plus, we're thinking about the horse arena, the natural play area, and then we want to renovate that lower shelter. So that's something to think about for 27 as well.
I'm sorry, Jack, can we go back to the quote for cameras? And
Sure.
just, can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah.
How much it was?
Yep, I'll go through each one. So right here too is on our outdoor recreation plan, identified security cameras. Lori, last meeting you said something about having it mobile to your cell phone. That's also listed in here. So that would be something we'd want to do. Right here is our outdoor bullet camera. This would be a license plate reader to the already existing camera that we discussed as being an emphasis last meeting. That is at $3,100 and $31.23 and 38 cents.
That's for one camera?
That's for the license plate reader
reader.
attachment
Oh, the reader.
to
Okay,
our
got it.
existing.
Thank you.
And that's
Yep.
not a software thing? It's not something you have to renew every year?
License plate reader, I'm guessing would get added on to our existing renewal that's at $132. So we've paid $132 the last 2 years for renewal to our existing camera.
Oh, geez, that's nothing, okay.
So that would just get added to that fee. And then shelter cameras, we have a different camera company right now. That's kind of, I don't have access to see the views in the class shelter, which is not great. So Verkada can make that connection, add new cameras, and then get them all on one view. And we do have some rules within our shelter stuff where kind of have to check up on security cameras to make sure parties don't go too awry. And that quote was at
So
$7,600.
you are gonna have a yearly license fee per camera then?
Correct.
Yeah.
You have cameras now?
Yep, just the one on the, I'm not supposed to discuss location, but we do.
But do you pay, but what I was getting at, you're paying some fees for the camera now?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, yep, 132.
Okay, do you have a
Every
line
July.
item? What does that, oh, doesn't matter, no, sorry.
Right, so yeah, this is for the class shelter. And then maintenance shed. This would include getting internet over there, which would be important for a lower shelter renovation.
So roughly, you're looking at about $11,000.
What do we got here? 6. I think it's a little bit more than 11. 7, 13, and then 3. 16-ish.
And that's for
17.
2 years?
Yep, so that's all of the ones that I think are the 3 highest priorities already identified in the outdoor rec plan. And then 27, I included that map to think about if we do grow and are like thinking about a lower shelter renovation or natural play. I think those are important to think about covering all areas of a big park that isn't covered enough.
Okay, so do we want to make a motion for this? Do we want to?
Up to you guys. Yeah,
Chuck, what were they again? 7606, what were the others?
the total of each of the quotes?
Yeah.
Sure. So we've got, for the license plate reader, $3,123 and 38 cents. Shelter cameras with the 1-year license, $7,606.75. And maintenance shed, 2 cameras with the 1-year license, $6,084.92. And this purchase would be in line with IT, not requiring us to have multiple quotes. Tim is on board with it being a collaborative effort, and the dispatch viewing them. So it is okay if we just go through Verkada for this. Any additional questions?
Well, I think it's highly needed out there
We
to
gotta have cameras.
protect the
I mean-
environment and our interest into it. So with that, I would move to approve going forward with placing these in, putting them into place, making the purchase as you presented.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Any discussion? Not hearing none, we've got no.
Something that would have to be done all at one time, because what I was
Yeah, you
looking
should, you
at,
gotta keep tab.
Give you a good solid hit if you need.
as your need, and that to maybe put the license plate installer in before winter starts in, for the simple reason we'll get into, winter people destruction, then you got mud season, people out there checking out
great
their
idea.
tires and
Yep,
stuff like
yep.
that, and then
Yeah.
we're, do the cameras like next, spring season.
I think if,
Right.
sorry.
I'm sorry, I was gonna ask Jeremy if he thinks that the contractor might have an issue with that as a contractor, going to want to save money by doing it all at once, or will the trips be more costly?
I can't speak for Five Star too much. That's more of Tim's vendor. I haven't dealt with them too much, but if they gave you separate bids for each one, they're gonna charge you the same price, whether they come out and do because whether you did all 5 at one time, it's gonna equal the same as if you did one at a time, because I didn't see trip charge fees on any of those. But like I said, I'm not super familiar. I know the cost is kind of high on some of those, but for those two, I do the cameras in here, and the license fees, normally I pay the initial license fee when I get the camera. It's sometimes not an ongoing fee.
Right.
And then you pay a license for each login, for each user. So if there's one for dispatch, there's one for Jack. Those are usually not an ongoing fee either. That's just an initial fee up front for these cameras. But then, like I said, you're putting heaters in some of those cameras that are required, and then they're also running Cat 6 cable for quite a few feet, which is, I know. But you should not be getting an increase whether you're doing 6 at once or 1 at a time. So again, I can sit down with Jack with that one and Tim and try to figure out priority levels on if you're trying to do the entrance and the restroom area first, and then try to schedule the rest for a different day, especially if you're saying you plow up berms so people aren't supposed to be driving through the rest of it. Go with the priority of where they can get, and then focus on the rest later.
How long was this good for? 30 days, 60 days?
The new quote?
Yeah.
She was concrete once she sent me the new quote. I think we have them until we request a new one. She said we can use these based on, they've had the same prices for a long time, and they just did an adjustment with quotes.
Yeah,
So they should be pretty solid.
It should be on the bottom of the quote,
Yes.
though.
November
What's going
22nd.
to happen in the spring, to finish the project if we don't do it now? Is there going
Yeah.
to be an increase? That's the question.
So Lexi just said that quote is good through the 22nd, so the 22nd of this month, because it's listed on the bottom. But the issue is
Yeah.
if you accept that bid now, then you're going to be locked in at that price, but you can schedule the work to be done at a later date.
I would schedule it as quick as we can, as long as we've got the,
The only other question I would have is there going to be any change in quality or design, with the camera itself? Is there an upgrade coming?
So,
A lot of
as
times
with
I'll-
IT, probably,
Yeah.
always, but,
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean, if you're locking in the bid now, let's say for the one that you want out at the maintenance shed, and it's camera F. That doesn't mean that come spring, there's gonna be you're up at camera M at that point, but you've already locked in at camera F, so that's what you'd be buying.
Just so it's to the newest.
Yeah, I mean, and the,
Yeah.
yeah. So, but yeah, if you're accepting these bids now, if you guys are approving that, then he can accept those bids and then schedule the work in priority levels, especially because if you're looking at taking ones out, all the way out to the maintenance shed, and some of that has to get trenched, they're probably gonna wanna wait anyway. It's not frozen quite yet, but,
Will be.
I'll help Jack through that one, but if your priority is gonna be for the entrance area, the cameras for the license plate readers, we can address that, so.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, and then the special permit violations?
Yeah, this is just an update for you guys. Basically, it was gonna be something else, and then he ended up giving me financial payment last minute. So that kind of changed the argument a little bit. So we got a couple bounce checks from the rodeo group, unfortunately. And they owed us quite a bit of money for a little bit of time, and it's just not something that we wanted. Basically, they were not happy with when we deposited the checks and when checks were given. I acknowledge that we could communicate a little bit better, but it's not our responsibility. That money's got to be in there for whenever we put it in. So basically, there's some proceedings here that happened. I'm not going to recommend taking any of the security deposit unless, with what you guys kind of see here, if there's any questions. The only thing that I figured would be maybe taken out of the security deposit is if we had to pay for dirt to be dumped. So, like I said, we weren't very happy with getting some bounce checks. It's a great event, but honestly, the financial concern means more to the county, especially when things go unpaid and then there's fees and then other people are affected. It's just not a good thing.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Are these still unpaid?
Nope. So they paid
Everything's
on,
taken care of?
yep. So they paid on October 30th at 3:30. They came in and paid, and we had a meeting and talked about everything. So mainly this is just kind of proceeding that I think there's some more work that needs to be done on our special event permit. Fees associated with things that are wrong. That way, if we are going to, take something away, we have a solidified fee or something that we can reference as to why. So we are still building this application, and there's things to learn, especially with the unique event like we're having with the rodeo out at Petrick. So there's new things that can be added to this permit every year, and it will continue to be a fluent document.
So
I'd
these
imagine.
checks are clear. We've been reimbursed in
We've
full.
been- Yes.
Correct.
So
Yep.
they're using personal checks. They aren't using debit card.
They were, but now going forward, it's going to be a money order. That's all they can do. It happened last year and it
That's a
happened
real good
again
idea.
this year.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's why we decided at first, anybody that puts a security deposit down, why it goes on a credit card, because a debit card is only good for $1,000.
Yeah. So we still have his security deposit back, and basically I wanted to go through this information with you guys before we're giving that back to him.
One more quick question. Did we incur any fees with this late payment?
The only fee may occur is that dirt dump. Just the impact of the arena and the roads leading up to the arena, I was gonna maybe get some type of quote as to how much that would cost.
So that had to do with the rodeo
Yes,
itself.
yeah.
I'm talking about the bad check.
Bank fees.
Bank
whether
fees.
they-
Basically, that's
So we
$30 to
added
$50.
We added
Per
40,
check.
we added $40 onto his total.
My question is, what was your fee?
I discussed it with Amy. We didn't have an established fee, and she, I think, got charged $20
Yeah,
per.
yes, what did the bank charge us?
$20 per.
Okay,
Yeah.
and you got 40 for it.
We got 40 for
And
it.
so you got two checks. So we've been made whole.
We've made whole, yep, for 3,260.
Okay.
Pretty much 3 events and sales tax and the fee.
You know, I think probably it's a new thing. I think if we can work with them as much as we possibly can, I think it's a great thing for certain people that like that kind of thing, and I think it's a great tourism thing. Obviously, keep an eye on it, Jack, but let's not try to make that permit so tough that they can't possibly get it either.
Oh, yeah.
I agree with that, but I don't think that's tough. I really don't.
No, yeah.
No,
That we
no.
have a policy for,
Some compliance
Bad payment.
stuff is
I
expected.
mean, if they're gonna do business, they should do so in good faith. I mean, anybody would.
How come it got that so far along?
guess,
Usually, you know, monkey see, monkey do, strike one, strike two. I'm
Right,
not gonna take
yeah.
strike three. I mean, you had a couple
this is-
different checks here. Why didn't you stop after the first one?
So the checks didn't get added until like pretty late.
Yeah, but I mean,
Well,
you
yeah.
have to
And
make a
he had-
deposit
I
before
hear ya.
you have the next event.
Right.
And he had a Labor Day event and then a September 13 event. And then we were going to cash them both afterwards. And then
Why would we do
one
that
of
though,
them-
Jack?
What's that?
Why would we do that? Why wouldn't you just cash it?
I'm not involved with that. I give that stuff to Amy right now.
But I mean, usually
Right,
after
wouldn't
an
you just
event, you
cash
cash the check.
Yep.
Yeah, just cash it.
Yep, absolutely. So like, that was one thing Ricardo and I discussed. And he wants to see like, or know the date right when the thing's gonna be cashed, because he, I guess, had to wait 3-4 weeks, and then funds got moved around with him internally, in Rosa. And yeah, then the checks bounced, and then we didn't accept the October one. So he owed us for 3 events and a fee and.
You know, and I think 100%, obviously, we have to be really careful that it's a business transaction. But on the flip side of that, we got to make sure we're not making it harder by like not cashing a check. That seems crazy to me. You get a check, cash it, right?
Yeah, I agree, although it seems like you're going to cover that base by requiring bank checks, money orders might be, but certified bank checks or something, something that are,
Yeah, and he did a money order for the last one, so we'll just, stick with that.
Basically, the way it sounds, the money's there, it just didn't want to pay the bills.
Kinda, but they also lost a large amount of money that they had to pay back to the other people involved. But yeah, we're not too worried about that, but it's,
Okay. So Jack, can you bring us anything back that you want to change with that permit
oh
next
yeah,
time?
later
Okay.
on, I
Yes,
think,
okay.
in the new year, I'll
right.
have some concrete changes for
Okay,
that
we have
permit.
one more quick question, go back to the cameras here.
Yeah, thank you. My question is, are we just gonna do the one to begin with? I guess we didn't clarify that. The other
Sure.
question I got, have you checked the Wi-Fi out there? I mean, do we have good Wi-Fi to take care of all these cameras?
So we just had Wi-Fi installed, I think, in about 21 at the at where the camera currently exists. So it would be good to focus on that LPR, like we had kind of discussed with the marks leaving. Being able to have that right away, as soon as we can, I think is good. And then maybe address those other 2 areas next year.
But has the Wi-Fi been tested in these spots where these are gonna be?
That-
Because Trempealeau County does not have the greatest reception.
Yep, so in 21, it got installed, and then 5 Star Telecom came to look at the Wi-Fi in there, and they were fine and would make any adjustments that are needed to have good operational Wi-Fi, and it's gonna take some more bandwidth to add that LPR onto
Who's the
there.
provider through there? Is that TCC or is that?
It's
Brightspeed?
TCC, correct, yep, and then we work with 5 Star Telecom on the install.
Any other questions on that?
The only question is, are we just gonna go with the one to begin with or buy them all?
I thought we were gonna go with them
I
all.
think my motion was to begin with is to go forward with all of
motion to
them,
go with them
but then
It
we had
was to
more
go with all.
Yeah,
conversations.
I believe the motion was to go with them all, right?
To make the full
Correct.
purchase is what the motion was.
Install the first one.
I'll prioritize the LPR.
Yeah.
as far as
Yeah.
installation.
But the motion
Yeah.
was to buy them all, is what we're going over.
Correct.
If I'm
The
understanding
3.
you, the question might be whether or not they're going to install all at once, but they'll be purchased all at once.
Well, the only thing is if you purchase them all today, if you're not gonna install them until April or May, you know, we talked about technology, how it advances, it might be something all new, so I'd rather see us, if we can just buy one, buy what's out there today that's current, and then wait with the other ones till the spring then, if we're not gonna do it all at once.
Do you know, Jack, what the timeline is for installing?
I would have to converse with Verkada and Five Star a little bit more. I think we could get the LPR on before the end of the year. I don't know if you guys would want me to come back next year for the other two.
But are you talking about purchasing in the future when they plan to be installed to make sure we have the most updated
Yeah.
technology?
Yeah, if we're gonna wait for 6 months,
Right.
Might this make a difference in the price?
Right,
could.
we could.
But I get your point.
Yes, yeah. I mean, I think the installation part is important, Jack, just so, even if you could, I don't know, can you just send us a quick email and let us know that, yep, we can get them installed right away, or
Oh, sure.
no, we're gonna have to wait till spring. And if that's the case, then we may wanna do something different.
Yeah, I can get you guys an update on that.
Does that work then?
Yeah.
With prioritizing the LPR, correct?
Yes, so we have made a motion to pay for them all, and I would say if we can get them, do we need to fix that then again? If we can get them installed by by this year, right? Or are you thinking there's, I mean, I guess we don't know installation, that's the issue.
What do you think?
I mean,
I gotta clarify. So you have a bid on this, right?
Right.
with quotes,
That has to
and
be
then it's sole
That's good till
sourced
the
through
22nd,
IT.
correct?
Right, November 22nd, it's good till, so we move that we take the bid.
Yeah.
And individual management of it, I don't know if we can do that from a committee point.
No, yeah,
I
it's
think
fine.
Okay.
we gotta let
Okay,
you
gotcha.
do what you need.
And just get it, I guess, get it
But
in there.
he's recommending that we wait, make sure that we get our most current that we can for when they're installed.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
That's what he's worried about. And that's what we're trying to, but the motion was that we accept the bid,
Right.
go with it so that we can accept that before November 22nd.
got it.
That's
And
what we're
I can
motioning.
ask for clarification on if they think they'll have an update on the other two, you know, in the springtime. Does that sound fine, Rich?
Well,
No, it sounds like you,
it
sounds like you know they're not coming till.
Go forward,
spring.
accept the proposals, and then the question was, should we just start with one? I think we just, let's buy it, let's go forward, get it
Okay.
done.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what the
As
motion
soon as
was.
possible, right?
That's what we were
I think that'd be
discussing.
good.
And there's other ones to purchase, you know, that are identified, so it's, I mean, the three main ones that have been talked about for the last 5 years, I think it's
As long as
it's
we
well
identify
overdue
Right,
to go
right,
forward
yeah.
with them.
So do your homework, Jack, and make sure for us that
Sure.
we do have good Wi-Fi in those spots, and get back to us on when that install can happen. That'd be great. All right, and then are there any future agenda items?
I've got one. Was there any consideration, again, of putting an outside porta potty in the parking lot for the winter? We usually had one in the last few years, you know, because the park is open in the winter for people snowshoeing and skiing and whatever they want to use, but I mean, we usually had a porta potty in the parking lot, so they didn't have to go, since the main restroom is locked, and then you got the other one that way down by the lower shelter, or lower entrance.
Okay, so we'll put that on the agenda, and then Jack, you'll get us pricing on all of that and bring that to us.
That's
so we
something,
know
yeah,
what we're
we've
talking
done.
about.
I think I can work it into my park report for you.
Perfect.
All right, sounds great. And then I have a special request here. The next meeting, would we be able to do it on December 9th by chance?
I'm okay.
What did you say?
The next
December
meeting,
9th.
December 9th.
8:30 in the morning.
I am in Branson that.
We've had a couple dates that have changed, and it's affected my planning. And I'd appreciate, you know, staying on course with our meetings, but again, that's up to how you guys want to go forward with that.
Yeah, it does. It should,
Yeah, but then it shortens the next month. We've always had meetings, I guess, on the first Tuesday for
I
a long
understand
time,
that,
and
Jack.
they've just been
I just
switching
can't make
lately.
it. So
I
if
think
it-
they're just special events, Jack. I think that it's gonna be, you know, few and far between.
I'll certainly try to always.
Flexibility.
Yeah.
Flexibility's good.
Yeah.
I guess I agree with that also. I've been going to the same meeting for over 40 years. The only time we change it is an act of Congress to change it from 7 o'clock to 6:30 in that. And I says, if our president can't make it, you've got a vice president. So I guess I make a motion to keep it as we have it the first Tuesday of every month.
I guess I would disagree with it. I think you're gonna have times where there are circumstances that just, I mean, I get your point, I really do. But I think there are circumstances, everybody has busy lives, and there are gonna be times when we're going to accommodate people and be a little flexible.
And I agree with that. The only thing, it could create conflict with other meetings.
Yes, and that's why she asks.
Yeah. I
If
do
you
that
have a conflict.
Oh, yeah, and that's no problem. I mean, we can do something different on the date or the time, whatever you want to do, or the next day. It's just that week I cannot.
Is that day like the afternoon? Okay, or is
That
after?
week I cannot.
She's at
Oh,
Branson
okay.
for that week.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, and it's a conference we put on, so,
Give
Kinda gotta be
highway.
there.
yeah.
Highway.
You have highway.
At 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
It's over by 10.
Well, we could, can you do 10?
I can do 10.
Cow's gotta get fed earlier, but that'll.
What date would be the 10th?
December 9th at 10 o'clock. Would that work for you, Jean?
Yep, I'm good to go.
All right.
On your agenda items for next month. And I could be wrong, but I know Bob made a motion earlier to give the school back that $500. I think you'll have to make that an agenda item next month because it was not an agenda item and it had money involved in it.
Okay,
And you made a motion,
Yep.
thank you.
but it needs to be, to get it approved legally, you'll have to put it on for, as a motion for next month's, as
Okay.
an agenda item for next month's.
Thank you so much for that.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Okay, are we good to go?
November
with
9th
that?
at 10?
Does that work? Thank you, guys, I really appreciate it. All right. I think we are adjourned.